people who are criminals from being criminals. The government's checkbook is not going to solve the problems that we have. We are never going to get anywhere until you decide that you individually care enough about your community to do something. 910 AM Superstation. We're the hottest station in town. The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of 910 AM Superstation or Adele Media. Good morning, Metro Detroit. It's Kerry Leon Jackson, the Urban Conservative. How are you this morning? Time now is 6 o'clock in the morning, and you've got to be there by 7 o'clock. You've got 1 hour to get there. Listen to 910 AM Superstation, Metro Detroit's only urban talk radio station. The number here in the studio is 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600. If you live in the Metro Detroit area, actually it wound up making national news, you are aware that for the last several days, the community collectively, no matter what your position usually is, but our entire community, including all of the way up to Lansing, has been holding its breath for the last several days since, I believe, Monday, when there was a kidnapping and we all received an Amber Alert on our phones. The state police used the Amber Alert system to notify people to be on the lookout for a particular individual who was alleged to, and you've got to say alleged when you're talking on, I mean, the person has not been convicted of a crime yet. So you've got to say alleged, was alleged to have kidnapped a small child and committed some other heinous acts in Lansing. And for reasons that, have not yet been made public, the police believe that that individual would wind up down in the Metro Detroit area. As it turns out, the next day, they found him, they located him in the Metro Detroit area. A police chase ensued. He was pulled over in St. Clair Shores. The police were able to stop the car, arrest the individual, didn't find the small two-year-old little girl. And our entire community has been, I don't want to say obsessed, but it's moments like this when you find out that whether they're Democrat or Republican, old or young, that certain things resonate with our community. It's one of those things that make you say, no matter what happens every day, you can have some days that are good days, you can have some days that are bad days. But when it comes right down to the basics of good versus evil, everybody's generally unified. I hate to point that out, but, a story such as that, where they continued to show an African American baby. This is not, one of those missing white girl stories, but the story of a missing 2-year-old baby and not knowing where the baby is. That story managed to catch on. Now, y'all understand this. Kids go missing in the community every single day. Crimes are committed in the community every day. We've gotten to a point that these sort of things don't shock us the way that they should. Don't get me wrong. This sort of story should shock your conscience whenever you hear that kind of story. This sort of thing should make you say, it should shake you to action. It should make you say, whatever I can do to stop this sort of crime from ever happening again, I want to do it. Y'all know that it really doesn't affect us that often the way that I wish that it would. We don't really, a lot of folks call the radio and say things, but they don't actually take real steps to try and do anything about it. And here's the thing about public policy, whether y'all notice or not, it's usually spurred on by those sort of stories. that when a crime occurs, such as the crime that we've all sat with bated breath, hoping and praying that there was some sort of different miracle outcome for, last night we find out that there really is no super, that there are difficult things that we have to deal with as human beings, period. Some people have the ability to be right all the time. Some people just don't have those things. And the reason that it shocks you is because you like to say things like, this is such a horrible individual. Oh my God, how on earth could this guy be to have done something like that? We haven't seen it with our own eyes. We have reached a conclusion based on the fact that apparently, as of 6:50 last night, the police in the city of Detroit were able to locate the child and then to verify to the Lansing police that this is no longer a sort of rescue sort of plan. This is now a recovery because we found a dead body. And as the news started to trickle, you for those of you that regularly use social media, you were able to follow the social media, and it's just like a wave swept over. And the story brought sadness to everyone. And the story brought sadness to everyone. And the story brought anger to everyone because we were all hoping and praying. Let me tell you something. Catholics, no matter what the religion was, everybody was praying for a miraculous outcome because nobody wanted to believe that these sort of heinous things occur inside a community or inside any community. Let me just tell you something. As a former criminal defense attorney, the unfortunate, very horrible fact is these things happen every day. And it is so hard to deal with, to try and process it. Listen, I've sat locked in a cell on more occasions than I want to count with folks who quite frankly lack good common decency. Um, I remember, and I don't know if I told y'all this story or not, but when I was a paralegal back in 19, I think it was 84, was the year that I was sitting in my boss's office as she interviewed, because I thought, you get accused of murder. Of course, you're going to wind up being in jail. Nah, this guy posted bond. And he was accused of killing a 13-year-old little girl. Uh, Killed the little girl because she used some words. She called him like a punk or something like that, a sissy or something. Whatever it was, she said he didn't like it. And this wasn't his child. This was like his girlfriend's child. Y'all know good and well that this is the same sort of story that happens all the time. Um, because there's a difference in whether or not you can do this sort of heinous act against your own child versus a black male that commits this crime against his girlfriend's child. And so he felt some sort of power over whatever it is. And she was 13 and she had a little mouth on her. She said something that he didn't like. So he decided to stand up, overpower her, grab her by her hair, and then slam her head into the wall and into the floor several times. She developed a mass inside her brain, hemorrhaged, and died. He got arrested. He was out on bond. He was sitting there in the office and he had absolutely no remorse whatsoever. His position was simply, she deserved it. She shouldn't have mouthed off to me. And I remember sitting there, and then I kept looking at the window, and I looked back at him, and I looked at the window. We were only on the fourth floor of the office building where we worked. And all that I was thinking, because y'all don't know that there used to be a bad person inside of me who committed crimes. And all I was thinking is, open the window and throw this fool out the window. Because he does not deserve to live. He didn't deserve it. And I also remember saying very, very clearly, there's no way on earth I could be that person sitting there representing this fool. I swore on every single thing that I had. There was no way, no way, no way I would ever wind up doing that. Why am I laughing now? Guess what I wound up doing? You never know, and facts wind up changing. That kid went on to be convicted and wound up being sent to jail. Here's the thing: he wasn't sent away forever. He was sent away for a long time, but he got out. Again, y'all, that was 1983. I remember the first person that I represented that committed a breaking and entering, and it was not breaking; it was a home invasion of a elderly old man and his daughter. He broke in his people's house. I don't want to say his name on the air because he was in Detroit. I mean, he got into a police, broke into people's house. Next door neighbor, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. Um, Wound up threatening and beating the old man in front of his family members, in front of the man's daughter. Um, the neighbors saw him. He stole their key, the car keys, went outside, stole the car. There was a police chase. The police got immediately behind him right after he pulled out of the neighborhood, which was right off of Livernois. He crashed on Livernois. The police arrested him in the car, took him to the hospital, brought him from the hospital to jail, still bandaged up and wearing a cast and stuff. And this is while I worked at the public defender's office, wound up being sent over. Meet him in the holding cell behind the courtroom. First thing out of his mouth was, I ain't do it. They got the wrong guy. Let me tell y'all this part again. He was saw by the neighbors leaving the house. The daughter was standing on the porch as the boy drove the car away. The police immediately got behind him in the middle of the night in Detroit and chased him. There was no loss or any of that other stuff. He crashed. They took him to jail. I meet him behind the holding cell, took him to jail, and the first thing out of his mouth is, I ain't do it. They got the wrong person. And that was a test on, oh my God, Kerry, how you gonna wind up representing somebody who is a heinous individual, break into somebody's house in the middle of the night and commit a crime like this, and then sit there and lie to you about it. I had to. And I fought hard for him, and we got a hung jury the first time. And when we came back time to try the case the second time, the old man had died. The old man was able to testify the first time and to tell about all of the terror that he wound up going through. By the time the second trial rolled around, he had already passed away, and his daughter came and testified. And all that she did in her testimony, she cried and cried and cried about how horrible it was and what happened to her father and how he never wound up recovering. And I got to tell you something. Every question that I asked, the jury looked at me and they looked at my client and they looked at me and they looked at my client. When the trial was finally over, this trial that I had fought very hard for and gotten this kid a not almost a not guilty. The original thing was 11 not guilty and 1 guilty. So the jury hung. These people were, that second jury was out 2 minutes, and they came back and convicted the boy. And I remember thinking, yeah, well, justice eventually does happen. I just would never want to wind up seeing him. Let me tell y'all something. 4 years later, I walk out of Frank Murphy Hall of Justice. This boy then went, did his time, been released on parole, and was back out on the street of the city of Detroit all over again. And I remember thinking then, if I ever see you on my block, if I ever see you in the neighborhood, if I ever see you anywhere else, I'm just going to kill you on sight because I know what kind of person you are. There are bad people all over our community. There's nothing that you're going to be able to do today that's going to stop that. But all of the folks who are posting, let something happen to him. I hope they beat him up while he's in prison. I hope they, yeah, do y'all think that it's your job to do vengeance? Tell me this. Do you honestly believe that simply because somebody is accused of a ridiculously heinous crime, that you're supposed to wind up being the person who gets rid of him, or that you hope that something horrible happens to him while he's locked up in jail and that somehow he finds the justice that he or she deserves when they're locked up behind bars? 313-65. Nope. 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600. That's the number to the station. I'm not giving y'all my cell phone number right now. I want you to call the studio, and we're going to put you on the air when we come back on the other side of the break. 313-778-7600. Is it your job or even the state's job to exact vengeance from somebody that you believe has done something horrible and that they deserve some sort of real justice? I'm going to take a very quick break. We'll be right back.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
I've had no energy, for months and months and months. I had no energy, and I'm a very active person. And my husband was noticing that I was tired all the time, and I was slow at everything that I was doing. And I kept listening to the commercials. And you don't know if something's going to help you or not. But I decided this was something I was going to do. And lo and behold, in about 4 days to taking them, I was repotting plants. I was doing other things. My husband said to me, "You seem to have more energy." And I said, "Oh, yeah, I'm fine." And I'm telling you, nothing has ever made such a difference. So anyway, I'm very happy.
Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order. Call 1-800-2468-751 or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code RADIO5.
Attention! Do you owe back taxes, fines, and penalties to the IRS? The IRS now offers new relief options for taxpayers affected by COVID-19, but you can't go it alone. Call Tax Solutions now. Our team of former IRS agents and tax professionals can get you the best deal. We know the COVID-19 rules. Call us and never speak to the IRS again.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
The virus has caused the IRS to take extensive action to help taxpayers. So if you owe $10,000 or more, this is the best time in years to settle your tax debt.
I qualified for the Fresh Start program. I paid less than I owed.
Remember, the IRS will not give up until you pay. Call 800-683-9499. 800-683-9499. 800-683-9499.
My 38 is offering a great special that cannot be refused. Are you looking for a great deal on TV advertising? Are you searching for an avenue to get your business name out to the public? With My 38, we are offering a great special with 100 commercial ads for a great price. This offer is for a 30-day ad placement. Please contact Devin C. for more information at 248-357-4566 or email at d.calhoun@thewordnetwork.org. This excludes political ads. Have you thought about advertising your business on our 9 10 a.m. Superstation? Our audience is bigger than ever, and your investment will be lower than ever. Find out how you can grow your business. Give us a call during business hours and ask for Henry, 248-357-4566. We will tell your story, and more folks than ever before will come to your door. 248-357-4566. Ask for Henry. The super audience at our 910 Superstation wants to hear about you. Call now.
Welcome back, Metro Detroit. It's Kerry Leon Jackson, your urban conservative. You're listening to 9 10 a.m. Superstation, Metro Detroit's only urban talk radio station. Y'all, listen, my usual Friday co-host is very, very clear with me as often as we talk through the week that she does not like to discuss political sort of issues. But there apparently are some sort of current affairs type things that will get her up and get her inspired enough to actually grab the phone and dial the radio. Good morning, Keisha. How are you?
Good morning, Kerry. I'm good.
What inspired my lovely co-host to grab the phone this morning?
Your topic, the last thing you said about, do we feel like it's our job to enforce justice or for something that happens to someone once they go to prison or jail or the county, whatever.
And
I'll just say this. It's not our job, but I definitely believe in karma. And sometimes karma can be used in the form of another prisoner. It could be used in, slip and fall. Sometimes things just happen that we don't have to wish it. Karma just comes back and get people before we can.
how do you feel about the death penalty, Keisha? Do you think that the state should, in certain instances, based on whether or not a person is convicted of a very heinous crime, that the state should, that jurors, people from the community, should be allowed to decide your fate, and that in some instances the jury should be able to say, you know what, as they, y'all know that they don't do it here in Michigan, but Ohio's right next door, it's right down the street, that certain jurors are given the opportunity to go through listen to how the person was raised and how horrible that person is, and come to the conclusion this person has always been evil. They're never going to wind up. There is no redeeming qualities in this person whatsoever. So the state should strap him to a table, roll up his sleeves, and give him a very lethal injection. Do you think that is the job of human beings? Or do you think that we should just wait and let God handle them when they get there?
I'm indifferent on that. I definitely believe some crimes, especially to
Keisha, there's nobody that's indifferent on it. You got an opinion, sister. You might not want to share it. So then the right words would be, I ain't telling everybody how I feel. But on that sort of thing, there's no way to be indifferent.
I feel two ways. I am indifferent. Part of me is they deserve for certain crimes, they do deserve it. But then I look at it from a rational standpoint of sometimes juries can be tampered with. And sometimes people's emotions can have to make an emotional decision, and the person might not be guilty. It's human error, but at the same time, I feel like with the death penalty, I don't feel like they should sit on death row for 20, 30 years before we decide to kill them. Like,
so a few years ago, when George W. Bush, the son, was the governor down in Texas, and he felt exactly the way that you just said, and he said, you know what? We are not giving them endless appeals and giving them 20 years to sit there. I'm signing death warrants as soon as I can. And some of them wind up getting the shock of they don't use the chair anymore. But some of them were getting lethal injection within a few years of the time the jury had convicted them. So you would favor a speeded up process, go on and get rid of them. There's no reason to wind up having all these appeals over and over again. They got their day in court. Several different levels of courts have already gone through, they've already appealed the decision 2-3 times. That's it. It's over. Bye.
I agree. I at the end of the day, it's a money game. So why should us taxpayers have to pay to feed them, house them, clothe them while they in jail for 20-some years? And I didn't look at them like that until somebody I know went to jail for child support, and he didn't want nobody to pay the bill because he literally said to the judge, "Now I can't take care of my kids, and now you can't take care of me. Now the taxpayer can't take care of me. I'll sit here." And I didn't think of it until then. Like, we have paying for people to sit there. So yeah, it's a money game. So let's see that checks out.
I just want y'all to hear that. See, this is the thing. People go through all of that. Carrie, you shouldn't call yourself a conservative. You don't really have conservative views, A lot of black people feel the way Keisha feels. Y'all got some very, very, very conservative views. And sometimes it boils down to money, and sometimes it just boils down to you have made a decision in your mind that there are certain things. Like next week, we're going to talk about the state's proposal. Well, it's not a proposal. They just to put millions of dollars behind it. To say we're gonna feed every kid in the state. Forget that. When they get to school, they getting fed. And a lot of folks are still indifferent. We're gonna talk about those things. Listen to this, y'all. Keisha does have views. She just likes to keep those things to herself. Do me a favor, hold on with me for a minute, because I want to get Sarge on, because we know everybody that's ever listened to this show, Sarge has some really, really strong opinions about things sort of like this. Good morning, Sarge. How are you?
Good morning, Kerry. I know you are a former defense attorney, and only certain things you can say and do without losing your license or whatever you practice with. But you yourself know the guy that done this to that little girl should have been put to death last night. I ain't talking about wait to give him one more hot meal, one more clean sheet at the hospital, put his ass to death last night, and people like him, not just him. We need the death penalty. And people say, well, if you have the death penalty, a lot of innocent people will probably die. Well, I'm sorry, too bad. If you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, too bad. If you kill a little girl, your ass go to hell right away.
How do we make the list of which things are we going to say, listen, if you kill a 2-year-old, you deserve the death penalty. But if you shoot an 8-year-old who's standing in the front yard in Inkster because you're mad at his daddy, then that one is not as heinous as you kidnapped a baby that wasn't yours because you was mad at the baby's mama. You stabbed your baby's mama, you kidnapped the other child, and then you went and committed this sort of an offense. How do we decide which ones are how are we gonna make a list of these are the crimes that we think are so horrible that this person deserves to die and we ain't losing any sleep? And by the way, I mean, Sarge, let me just tell you something. I don't know if you know this or not. I wound up representing Eric Marshall. Eric Marshall was the young man that was accused of killing 2 police back in 2004 out near the intersection of Michigan and Livernois. And let me tell y'all, I don't know if y'all, I mean, I remember the night that it made the news that he was dead. But when Eric's family got him back, because I mean, he got a life sentence. And y'all, you know, folks will remember that he wound up beating up a witness in the middle of the courtroom and things like that. He got a life sentence and he only wound up living a few years. But when his family got his body back, apparently while he had been in the custody of the Department of Corrections, they used him for every experiment they could. And most of his organs were missing. He had lost weight. They had altered him. They took the system, not the prisoners. The people that work for the Michigan Department of Corrections decided to take all of their anger and vengeance out on him during those few short-lived years that he was there, and then they returned him. They gave that kid a death penalty. You think that we should have that sort of thing should be allowed? That human beings should say, you know what? We don't like what he did. I hate what he did. And as a matter of fact, we are going to exact the revenge on him that he should have received before. You think that sort of stuff is fair?
See, the way I figure, Kerry, is that God is real busy. He's got this whole universe, world, or whatever to take care of. So what he did a few years back, he appointed old Sarge to handle business like that. So if anybody's got a problem with putting one of these suckers to sleep, call me. I'll do it for you. I'll do it for free.
Nobody does stuff for free. Nobody does anything for free.
I will.
Until the one day that you wind up, because somebody wound up pointing somebody out and say, I don't like him, he's a bad person. And you find out he wasn't really a bad person after all. But you find out a little bit too late. We can't make those decisions, Sarge. We got to live life and let it work itself out. I just don't want to be.
That's the way you think.
The way I think has nothing to do with what I went to school to learn. The way I think is based on the fact that I learned the difference between right and wrong at an early age. And then I wound up over several more years after it trying to weigh those things to say, yeah, what I learned is a lie, or this is accurate. And you form, hopefully by the time you're a teenager, your own sort of inner core belief of what is right and what are the things you would do. And I got to tell you, but the person that I was when I was 16 is several worlds different than the person that I am now. And I look back at, and I wish then that I had a lot of the information and the temperament then that I have now. Okay. Yeah, I know, Pam. We already know about the number of over 5,000 people who've been exonerated, who've been on death row, and the several people who they found out were innocent after they had already been killed by the state. I was going to bring that up next hour. Pam decided to put that in the feed. We're going to take another break, Sarge. Thanks for calling. 313-778-7600, 313-778-7600. Keisha, you going to hang with us for the next hour, or are you going on?
I'm a hang. I'm in disbelief that Sarge, he got me. I've never.
Now, listen, people have very strong beliefs about certain things. Nothing puts me in disbelief. 313-778-7600. We're going to take a very quick break. We'll be right back.
The all-new 910 Superstation is your number one source for urban talk radio. If you're looking for the best in radio programming, look no further. You can now listen in on a multitude of audio platforms. We're on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Buzzsprout, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Listen Notes, and coming soon to Amazon Music, GoodPods, and Overcast. 910 AM Superstation, the largest, strongest, 50,000 watt urban radio station in town. 910 AM Superstation has the greatest advertising deal ever with our Godfather package. 100 spots for $600 with a must air within 30-day policy, and we will even produce the spots free. That's right, free. Call Devin C. now at 248-357-4566. That's 248-357-4566. Or email
Craig, how are we going to determine who the people are who actually committed murder? That's what the comment above that Pam is about. Is there have been
gets a facelift and is now
5,000 folks
38
exonerated
along with a
who
facelift.
we thought committed a murder, and we found out later the cops lied on them in the trial. And now, after they served 10, 20, 30 years in prison for a crime they never committed. How do we know who actually committed
on
murder?
Thursdays and on Fridays?
By the way,
You'll
brother,
get more
use
Chicago
the phone,
PD to start your
313-778-7600.
weekend. We'll still have some of your favorite shows like Mom, Blackish, and Friends. Just adding more for you to enjoy on My 38. The Word Network has been broadcasting inspirational messages around the world since the year 2000, and we keep getting bigger and better and more innovative. Seen all around the world, we bring you the best teaching, impartation, singing, and inspiration. If you want original programming, we have that too. The Word Network is your exclusive source for all things inspiration, and we can be found on every device imaginable. If you want to be uplifted and inspired, you need the Word Network.
Did you know most vitamin supplements don't even come from food? Even the products with colorful fruits and vegetables adorning the labels are seldom derived from produce. Typically, supplements are synthetic, made in a laboratory. Modern science may synthetically imitate these chemicals, but your body isn't fooled. It knows the difference, and it craves quality materials to build, repair, and fight illness. You need to consume fruits and vegetables daily in a variety of colors, as well as whole grains and other fresh food. That's why I formulated Balance of Nature. I wanted to be able to give my patients a natural alternative to the cheap, unnatural chemistry by giving them real fruits and vegetables. In fact, the only ingredients inside of Balance of Nature are whole fruits and vegetables. Don't settle for imitation nutrition. Reach for the good stuff, the real stuff.
Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com. Get 35% off your first preferred order by using discount code RADIO5.
This is Kerry Jackson, your urban conservative. Listen, y'all, it's a talk show, and I want everybody to call and say what's on your mind. Do you honestly believe that an elected official or a police chief can stop people who are criminals from being criminals? The government's checkbook is not going to solve the problems that we have. We are never going to get anywhere until you decide that you individually care enough about your community to do something about it.
910 AM Superstation. We're the hottest station in town.
Welcome back, Metro Detroit. This is Gary Leon Jackson, the urban conservative. Listen to 910 AM Superstation, Metro Detroit's only urban talk radio station. Let's go back to the phones. Let's talk to Chad. Good morning.
Hello, Mr. Jackson. How are you and your co-host doing?
Pretty
I
good.
just wanted to add to that. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. I just want to add to that tragic story that came up into the fatal results of this innocent baby, beautiful child who never did nothing to nobody, in light of that sad situation. That due to the technology, y'all probably would agree, hopefully, and definitely would know that they have all types of technology now, that backs, like DNA from different, forensics or whatever, that they know they didn't have back then, that you could possibly, prove that you put an innocent person to death. They have all technology now, that's more accurate now. And it's probably changing as we speak every day along and whatnot to really help pinpoint right along with the evidence they have and eyewitnesses and stuff to that too, to have really convict a person that ultimately committed the crime who should pay the ultimate punishment, by their lives being taken away. And then for religious people,
And I'm one myself. I'm a Christian and whatnot, but and I love everybody. But at the end of the day, the scripture does back that in Genesis 9:6, it speaks about how a person, kills a person, somebody in innocent blood, that their life should be taken too, and that's the scripture. So it's covered in both spectrums of society. Is it good? No, it's sad that people, for whatever reason or another, they might be dealt a bad hand in life or whatever that makes them turn out the way that they do. I don't have no hell to put nobody in. But it's a story. And my brother should say, the ex-Vietnam veteran, bless his soul, he's going to be with the Lord now. But he said this, and it's a true statement. Everybody wants to get to heaven, but nobody wants to die. Everybody wants something to get done about something, but do people really want something to really get done as far as these serious heinous crimes by these people that do these terrible things to have to, pay the ultimate price? So that, the court should really consider that now, and not just in certain states. It should be, and to me, it's hypocritical how in this country they got certain things that apply to different states and different laws to me to accommodate certain people in particular states or whatever. But that should be nationally. It should be without question. And a lot of people say, well, it don't work. And some people say, but my thing is, don't knock it till you try. Have we really tried to have that, man?
We've tried it. We've tried it, which is why 15, 17 years ago, many states decided to say, hold on, we've been trying it for over 100 years, and we've gotten too many cases where we got it wrong. And so maybe a lot of states put a pause on it. They couldn't actually just outright, because they had, governors don't have the power to just do away with an entire law, but they were able to put a pause on it and say, wait a minute, we got to start reviewing things and whether or not we should have this, and then put this question in front. The question has been asked in Michigan. I think in the 40 years that I've lived here, almost 40 years that I've lived here, the question's been on the ballot a couple of different times. There's always a petition whenever a police officer is killed or something. There's quick folks get a petition together real quick to say, let's go out and let's see if we can put this on the ballot all over again. We need to be a vengeful state. We need to be able to give them the electric chair and stuff. Listen, that has never wound up being the solution. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I feel the pain. I've been a member of this community with everybody else. I saw the story unfold. Had fingers, toes, everything crossed, praying, hoping that there was an entirely different outcome as the hours passed and they did not find the young child. The realization started to set in that this ain't going to end well. And unfortunately, it didn't end well. I feel everybody's pain and frustration. I felt my obligation is more than this to tell people, feel it, express it, pray about it, but hold on. You don't overreact. And it feels like, there's this strong wave of we need to get vengeance against this one particular person because of this horrible crime. We have horrible crimes happen in our community every day.
Well, okay, thank you very much. And the last point, Mr. Jackson, to you and your host. So our next option would be then, okay, if we don't execute, should we ship them, send them out, kick them out the country?
The next option should be to take jury duty seriously. That's what the next option should be. When the folks get the thing and they say, I ain't going, or I'll go down there and I'm going to have an attitude with these people and tell them, listen, what y'all mean $15? I got to be off work, all of this. I got a life. I got to feed my kids. I ain't got time for it. Take jury duty seriously is what I think the next option should be. All right. Thanks for calling this morning. Let's go to Kenzie. Good morning, Kenzie. Okay, put her back on hold because I doubt that she hung up. So just put her back on hold. We'll go back to her in a minute. Let's go to PG. Good morning, PG.
Good morning. How are you? And happy TGI Thursday. The first Thursday in July. I wanted to let you and your listeners know that on Monday, July 31st, from 5:30 to 8:30, the Southfield Police Chief and the Farmington Hills Police Chief will be holding a town hall study session to talk about gun violence, how we can reduce it, and solutions. It's going to be at the Southfield Pavilion, which is located inside of City Hall, 26,000 Evergreen Road. So for all of the people,
What time?
from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m.
On the 31st from 5:30 to 8:30.
Yes.
All right.
And what we're asking all of the people that have solutions, and we've got a lot of people that have solutions, bring your solutions so we can put it all together and get something accomplished. We are the superpower of the world, and things are changing.
PG.
Serbia
PG.
came up with a way to reduce.
Can I ask a question though? I mean, I appreciate you and applaud you for getting for getting the two chiefs together and the piece that we run on the commercial and all that other stuff. And you think I forgot to call you back from the weekend? I just been running. I'll call you later on this afternoon. But let me say this: Southfield and Farmington Hills are not a hotbed of violence. I mean, I appreciate the two chiefs, but there's a name that's not on that list. There's somebody else that I appreciate the work and the phone calls you've made, but there's at least one other chief, one other that I can think of that you probably need to call. Because seriously,
you didn't let me finish.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay though.
Go ahead, sister. Go ahead.
This is how dialogue happens. Also at the event is going to be Detroit Police Chief, Detroit County, Wayne
County Sheriff. Okay.
It's going to be the Public Safety Director of Oak Park. There's going to be a plethora of law enforcement people there, along with Moms Demand Action, to talk about gun violence. Can we reduce it? What are the solutions? And how do we accomplish reducing gun violence with the solution? So there are going to be other featured speakers there. But what we want to do is hear from the people. What is the solution? Serbia has a lot of guns per capita, equivalent to the United States. Serbia found a way to reduce gun violence in their country. We can do it here. So everybody that has talked about what can be done to reduce gun violence, come and bring that solution to this event. And let's put our heads together collectively to see if we can do what Serbia has done.
PG, today is July 6th. The event is at the end of the month. And if it maybe not every day that I'm gonna need you to get up, but at least 2 to 3 times a week, I'm gonna need you to remind people we got to get them across the head. That room needs to be packed. And I mean, and whatever, I mean, you know, I'm sure I'll get a memo for this later on, but the station needs to, there's only one audience we're grabbing right now, 6 to 7 in the morning, but you got to do it again in the afternoon and again in the evening, and make sure that every host on this station hits this message over and over again. That's a problem, and we've got to actually do something about it. So I mean, I appreciate you for calling at 6 o'clock in the morning, but that sort of message needs to be told to it over and over again all day long, and that place needs to be packed beyond standing room only.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks
to
for
share
calling.
that with your listeners.
All right, I'll call you later on this afternoon.
Okay, sir.
All right, let's go to Kwame. Good morning, Kwame.
Good morning. Listen, I think a clear maniac should be removed from the public and kept in a different environment until they can decide.
And what kind of words is a different environment? You don't think prison is the appropriate environment?
No, I don't even think it. I mean, I'm talking about a clear maniac.
Again, what's a different environment? You don't. Hold on a minute, brother. I got to go to break. Hold on, Kwame. Don't go nowhere. Don't go nowhere. And also, Miss Leona, don't go nowhere. I'm going to get to you when we come back on the other side of the break. It's a very quick break, y'all. It's only 3 minutes. We'll be right back.
Do you have an idea for an invention or new product? Do you think companies would be interested in your idea? Do you want to try to get a patent? Then call InventHelp now. InventHelp keeps your idea confidential and explains every step of the invention process. We create professional materials representing your idea and submit it to companies who are looking for new ideas. We have more than 9,000 companies who have agreed to review ideas in confidence. If a company shows interest in manufacturing your invention, we can negotiate on your behalf. We have helped over 10,000 clients receive patents. We also offer services including 3D modeling and animation demonstrating your idea, prototyping services, and we use state-of-the-art technology to show InventHelp client ideas to additional companies. Join the thousands of people just like you who chose InventHelp to pursue their idea. We are experienced. We are working for you. We are InventHelp.
Call us for free information at 1-800-460-1663. That's 1-800-460-1663. Again, 1-800-460-1663.
Balance of Nature is fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
I've had no energy for months and months and months. I had no energy, and I'm a very active person. And my husband was noticing that I was tired all the time, and I was slow at everything that I was doing. And I kept listening to the commercials, and you don't know if something's going to help you or not. But I decided this was something I was going to do. And lo and behold, in about 4 days to taking them, I was repotting plants. I was doing other things. My husband said to me, "You seem to have more energy." And I said, "Oh, yeah, I'm fine." And I'm telling you, nothing has ever made such a difference. So anyway, I'm very happy.
Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order. Call 1-800-2468-751 or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code RADIO5.
Attention! Do you owe back taxes, fines, and penalties to the IRS? The IRS now offers new relief options for taxpayers affected by COVID-19, but you can't go it alone. Call Tax Solutions now. Our team of former IRS agents and tax professionals can get you the best deal. We know the COVID-19 rules. Call us and never speak to the IRS again.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
The virus has caused the IRS to take extensive action to help taxpayers. So if you owe $10,000 or more, this is the best time in years to settle your tax debt.
I qualified for the Fresh Start program. I paid less than I owed.
Remember, the IRS will not give up until you pay. Call 800-683-9499. 800-683-9499. 800-683-9499.
Welcome back, Metro Detroit. It's Kerry Leon Jackson, together with Keisha on a Thursday morning. Let's go back to the phone. All right, Kwame, go ahead. You were trying to say that those folks who commit heinous crimes need to be put somewhere. And I think you were getting ready to say prison's not good enough for them. Is that what you were trying? That the message you wanted to convey this morning?
I can't say prison, but some kind of environment away from the public. That's the main idea. But I don't even think that depending on what they've done, they should even be presumed.
You should not wait. So once the police has arrested somebody, now hold on. I think there's been a movie like this. So we're gonna pick a part of the country, wall it all off, and just go drop all of the really, really bad guys off in that area until somebody named Snake Plissken comes along to rescue somebody like that. Oh, yeah. I think they named that place Detroit, or at least that's what, L. Brooks Patterson wanted. You think that there should be some place, not with, 200-foot solid concrete prison walls, but someplace else removed from the public where we should go drop off these people that are accused of, haven't yet been convicted, accused of committing very, very heinous, dangerous crimes, right?
No, I don't say accused of. If they're a maniac, everybody knows that. Now, accused of is different. But people do change and can change, but you have to understand that the public is very sensitive. and you can't put certain entities.
So hold on a minute. So here's my Charles Manson question. You think that somebody, let's say after 10, 20, 30 years, if they've committed a very heinous, let's say they chopped up a couple of little baby bodies, do you honestly believe that somebody that's that depraved when they're young can actually be saved and brought back and reformed, and they can see the error in their ways, and that at some point they should be allowed to go in front of a parole board, let's say 25, 30 years. They should be allowed to go in front of a parole board and say, I've changed. I know I killed a bunch of babies back then and I was a horrible individual then, but I now serve the light. I know that I got this book called the Bible. I read it from cover to cover. I believe in the Lord. I believe in loving your fellow man. I've changed, and you should let me out on the street.
No, I don't believe nothing like that. You have to demonstrate. People do change. You have to demonstrate the change, but they will always, I would say, they need to be always watched. But I can't figure that out right now. But what environment and what
always watch. Let me just tell you this: if you get convicted of criminal sexual conduct for the rest of your life, you're gonna be watched. Okay, in the state of Michigan, because
a maniac should be watched also.
But you're saying that, it's entirely possible that you can be a maniac at 20 and you can be reformed by the time you're 45 or 50. And so we should no longer consider you a maniac anymore. And we might want to give you another opportunity to go forth and live in the world.
If you got, no, I'm not talking about living in the world. I'm saying live in a different environment. But if you got the right if the person's if any entity is put in the right environment, that change can come about. But I'm just saying they need to be definitely separated.
You honestly believe that even the worst people, the Charles Mansons of the world, even the horrible that, had he lived and not been killed inside a prison, you believe that somebody like Jeffrey Dahmer, or not just Charles Manson, John Wayne Gacy, you believe that those people should, Son of Sam, who walked around and just killed people indiscriminately over and over again, you think that those people actually can change and they can see the error of their ways eventually?
No, I don't believe it, but I can't.
Then stop saying it, okay? If you don't believe it, stop saying it. Except the fact that some people are just evil.
That might be possible for some people, for some entities, but I don't even think they should be presumed innocent. That's a problem too. When you
why is a presumption of innocence a problem? If you can prove that presumption can be overcome with evidence. They get a trial in a courtroom. Prosecutor comes in and shows a jury of their peers, 12 people, put them in a box, show them all of the evidence and say, he walked in here presumed innocent. It's up to y'all to decide whether you're going to believe that crap or not. What's wrong with the system working that way?
I don't believe that. You got a maniac that shouldn't be hid. You should know this person's a maniac. But and that's a problem I see in the system.
Woo-wee. I got to get one more caller here. Thanks for calling this morning. Let's talk to Ms. Leona before we run out of time. Good morning, Ms. Leona. How are you?
Good morning, Ms. Leona. Good morning to both of you. I'm fine. I don't know. I can say yes, and then I could say no. It all depends on the circumstance, but if the state want to give them a trial, I would want to be one of the jurors to decide, because you never know what you'll do until you're put in the situation. So, but if a young man that abducted a little girl, I tell him I'll set him free if you can bring her back alive. No. When you guys if you can bring them back, then you can be free.
Oh, okay, Miss Leona. Boy, that y'all, there's no.
Love you both.
Thank you. Keisha, anything you want to say in the last minute of the show?
No, today was very entertaining. It's definitely entertaining.
The one thing that it is very, very clear is that our community definitely has a sense of justice, a sense of right versus wrong, what none of us have. And don't worry, y'all, there's no real answer. There's no correct answer. And there are 50 states and 50 governors that wish that they had the right answer as to how we should appropriately deal with it. That's why there is, and there was an amendment to the Constitution that says, hold on, y'all, we're not going to exact cruel and unusual punishment. We are going to give people their right to a trial. And then after they've had a trial, then we can decide, after we've seen the actual evidence, then we will make a decision on whether or not that person should sit behind some bars for the rest of their life, or maybe we should, shave them bald, put a little electric cap on them and give them the shock of their lives. There is a system for this, but at least don't jump the gun. Give everybody an opportunity to use that system. It's not perfect. Yes, there have been over 5,000 different exonerations, and most of them, the one thing people won't tell you, were based on the fact that the cops lied. That they decided in their mind, I'm just going to convict you, period. And that then the system went along and let that happen. And that with all of the exonerations, nobody ever said, we need to fix the problem in the first place. That's where we need to get to. So let's hope we decide that we're going to fix that. I want to thank Keisha for getting up early this morning. And we will both be here tomorrow, bright and early, 6 o'clock, with hopefully something a lot more entertaining, a lot less heavy to carry than the subject that led us to this morning's discussion. So thank all of y'all for calling. Temperatures only staying in the 70s today, and apparently it's going to rain most of the day. Take an umbrella with you or a poncho or something. Get out and enjoy your day. I look forward to talking to each and every one of y'all tomorrow morning.
My 38 is offering